Very happy to be back in Morgantown. I've said this before when I came to Morgantown that I have two sons who are graduates of WVU. I've certainly adopted WVU as my home school now, pulling for the Mountaineers in every sort of way. What I will say is in transportation, we are viewing that we're in a full court press, press Virginia, if you will, for the last couple of weeks here. And we've been really traveling around the state. The governor has been a busy guy, and he's been keeping the rest of us hopping. So we are very happy to be here today and to have a chance to talk about the road bond and some of the applications. My job with transportation is to be sure to bring the educational aspect of this about talking about some of the implications of the road bond program. And Donnie Williams, our district manager, and I will be at the city council meeting. We're going to actually have a chance there to talk more about it in detail. But I know that the governor wants to talk about it, the aspirational aspect of it today, and I've heard him give this presentation a number of times, and it's really, really good. Again, this program has many different parts, but the part that is so important, and I'll draw your attention to the pie chart here, the big green slice is the general obligation bond part of this. Now, the way we've structured this, and we've got a good running start on it, we've got the light blue and the mustard color and the dark blue stuff out the door. That's about $400 million of work that we've already got leveraged and moving, but that's just a start. It's just really just a beginning. And again, the point to make here is you have to take all of these programs together to get the full benefit. The full benefit is I'm actually having to get my orientation, is the map with 600 projects on it. But to get to the 600 projects, you have to have all the parts working together. And without the general obligation bond, which is the large amount that pays for those very expensive projects, like the I-79 access that we're going to be participating in a meeting later this afternoon to talk about that. It's just such an important project for Morgantown. But you need all those parts working together to be able to get to the full list of 600. Now, I mentioned Morgantown and the fact that you all here have growth that we don't have in the rest of the state, but it's the perfect example of why we need a project like the I-79 access that we'll be talking about later, that we have to find ways to combat the congestion and the bad condition of roadways that you have here. Morgantown, in the TRIP report that Mike Clauser, my friend here, help sponsor, Morgantown has the highest road user cost of any city in the state, over $1,400 per motorist. That is the highest, no other place higher. So again, we're happy to be here to talk about the road bond. What we want to do is have some opinion leaders go ahead and kick this off. After we have Mike and Chris Hamilton talk, President Gee will introduce the governor, who will be here shortly. Before I go any further, I would like to ask if President Gee has arrived and he's over here. I would like to ask if we have legislators or elected officials in the room to please rise and be recognized. Thank you very much. We will kick this off with Chris Hamilton, who represents the Business and Industry Council, coming forward and talking about their position on the road bond.
Thank you, Secretary Smith. President Gee, Coach Nealon, awful good to see you too. Awful good to join you on today's program, as well as the other distinguished speakers. I'm Chris Hamilton. I'm with the West Virginia Business and Industry Council. And if you're not familiar with that organization, it's an umbrella trade association comprised of all the state major business and trade associations statewide. The contractors, the coal association, the healthcare organizations, the oil and gas industry, the manufacturers, the retailers, the car dealers, they are all part of the West Virginia Business and Industry Council, which I chair. We are comprised of about 400,000 workers statewide. This particular issue, the road bond amendment before state voters, smacks right at the core of our organization's guiding principles. We believe it's all about job growth, it's all about jumpstarting our economy, and it's also about building and rebuilding our state's basic infrastructure system. We fully embrace, without exception, without condition, this measure that's currently before state voters. We fail to see a downside and with the passage of this road bond amendment. We get to build our roads, we get to create jobs, we get to infuse literally tens of thousands of new workers in sites all over this state that are in desperate need of repair and building. When you think about when a new company looks at various sites in various states, and as good as we believe we are and as good as we are, West Virginia is one of a handful of states that any company within a 250 or 300 mile radius, when they seek to locate, they look at West Virginia amongst a cluster of states. The basic infrastructure and accessibility from point A to point B, whether workers can get to their facility that they're thinking about, what it's like for their workers and employees to get around the state and around the community, all that plays into the quality of life. And it ranks up there almost as high or near the top of the list just as education does. We have one of the lowest workforce participation rates that you'll find anywhere in the country. This road bond amendment will infuse about 48,000 new jobs into our state within a couple of years' time. We desperately need that. Mining industry, which I also represent, has about 12,000 direct coal mining jobs today. And everybody's heard of the losses there with production and employment. We have about half the number of what we had 10 years ago, about 12,000. According to a Duke University study, passage of this road bonds amendment will create about 48,000 new heavy-duty construction highway jobs. We're hopeful that a lot of the people we have that run heavy equipment and dozers that are furloughed, people within the oil and gas business, West Virginians everywhere will have opportunities. They certainly have the skill sets to have one of these jobs that'll be present if the road bond. We truly don't see a downside. This is one of those issues that you can make as complicated as you want, or you can make as simple as you want. The revenue measures are in place. So the money to pay for the bonds is in place, is there, it's locked up. Constitutionally, it'll go to our highway system. So we get these new jobs, we get the benefit of elevating and creating and repairing our existing infrastructure. And we have all these jobs without any additional fees, no new taxes, no new levies of any sort. We don't see a downside on behalf of the West Virginia Business and Industry Council. We encourage your support. It's all about getting the vote out. Voting is on a Saturday, October 7th. And as they say in Logan County, you really need to vote early and often. So with that, I'm so appreciative of being part of the governor's team and Secretary Smith's team, and hopefully you'll find a way to support the bond measure. Mr. Secretary.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Chris. In America, we get infrastructure built by working with our private sector partners. We work well with our consulting industry, we work well with our contracting industry, and that's the way you get things done in America. And so I'm proud to now invite my good friend Mike Clauser, representing the Contractors Association of West Virginia, forward.
Thank you, Secretary. Thank you. I am Mike Clauser with the Contractors Association of West Virginia. We represent about 425 members who employ about 20,000 West Virginians who are building West Virginia. And our members build a quality of life that all of us enjoy, from a modern transportation system to water and sewer to these beautiful structures that you have here. I'm honored to have Dan Flesher with Trimble Engineers. Dan is past president of the Contractors Association of West Virginia and has built many of it. We have Phil Weiser with March Weston, who has built this structure, plus many of the buildings here at WVU. And as Chris has said, you will hear earlier, or hear from other speakers, yes, we are talking about jobs. We're talking about immediate construction jobs that will employ many thousands of West Virginians. But when our contractors work, they buy cars, they go to Kroger's, they go to restaurants, they go to, they shop at retail, they visit the tourism spots around the state. So we feel that the immediate jobs that are going to be created will create thousands of additional jobs that will ripple throughout the economy of West Virginia. And as Chris mentioned, when you look at what brings companies into a state, all of the site development companies will tell you that one of the number one issues is a safe and modern transportation facility and system. And if you look at Macy's in the Eastern Panhandle, now Procter & Gamble that's building over a $1 billion manufacturing facility in the eastern part of West Virginia. You look at the cracker plants that hopefully will come to West Virginia in northern Panhandle as well as along the Ohio River around Wood County. Certainly had the opportunity to be in Charleston last week when we did the groundbreaking of U.S. methanol that we understand is just going to be one of many cracker plants, or not cracker plants, but methanol plants that will be end user and will, after the initial construction phase, will employ hundreds of West Virginians. And we see, that's what we see with this bond amendment, is the opportunity to create additional opportunities for all of West Virginia, additional jobs throughout all of West Virginia. And all that is a quality of life too. You know, I'm a proud graduate of WVU, and I came here in 1974. And when I came here, I-79 wasn't even completed. I-68 hadn't even been started. And I was talking to one of our board of director members, Jim Brown from Fairmont, and he said, you know, he said, I went to Morgantown in 1955, and he said there were 5,000 students, and there was about 10,000 Morgantown residents. And Terry Cutright with Main Street Main Street Morgantown. Now you're at what, 30-some thousand, Terry, in population. And Dr. Gee, I think you said we're over 33,000 today. And Jim Brown's observation was the only thing different from 1995 or 1955 is I-79, I-68, and 705. So when I come to the ball games or I come up to visit our members, you know, I suffer the same pain that you guys go through in trying to get to point A to point B throughout the Morgantown area. So we see this not only for safety, we not only see it for jobs, we see it as a quality of life issue that we as West Virginia deserve. Certainly we need it to create additional jobs and different opportunities. And Mr. Secretary, I'm always honored to be on the same program with you. You have done a fantastic job, and I look at all the legislators here today. You are well represented in Monongalia County and surrounding counties. They have, as Chris said, they have taken the tough decision to provide the debt service on the bonds. They made the tough decisions to vote for the fee increases for highways that is going to be the debt service on these bonds. And because of their service to the state, we have a brighter future, not only here, but throughout statewide. So, Mr. Secretary, thank you for the opportunity to be here today.
Governor Justice's road program, Roads to Prosperity program, is a bold, historic program, $2.6 billion at the outset. It's bold, it's big, it's bold, 48,000 immediate jobs. These are direct, indirect, and induced jobs that you immediately start pumping into the economy. And it provides immediate economic recovery and immediate hope for our citizens. So it's just such an important program. We get three common questions. Number one, does it require new taxes? The answer to that is no. Number two, what's in it for me? The answer to that is that I mentioned earlier the map that has 600 projects on it, that all parts of it taken together produce the 600 projects. And I've also talked about the importance of the big green slice, about without that big green slice, you don't have the ability to get to all the other jobs. You have to really look at this taken together. And then the final question that we frequently get is, what happens if it doesn't pass? And it would just be a remarkable missed opportunity for economic recovery, a missed opportunity for our citizens, the hope that they need. It's a missed opportunity for bonding. The bond market right now is ideally situated for wise investment, and that's what this is. And it really is a missed opportunity to give our citizens the roads that they need and deserve. And so I'm proud to be a part of the governor's team. Now, I think we are about ready to have the governor introduced. He's supposed to be here at about 1:15. And so I'm waiting to see if we get the signal. Looks like we've got 5 minutes. President Gee, if you've got 5 minutes, I will invite you forward. I know you're an engaging speaker, and I always enjoy your remarks. So it is my pleasure to be here in Morgantown as a West Virginia dad. Both my sons are mechanical/aeronautical engineers and have gone on to wonderful jobs. They actually have jobs outside of West Virginia, and I'd like to see that we have economic opportunity for them to come back. And so, but they've got wonderful jobs based on their education here. So I think with that, I will say it is my pleasure to welcome President Gee to the platform here to give a few remarks and then to introduce the governor.
Mr. Secretary, you are doing a great job. A lateral arabesque and a couple of twirls, and you're doing just great there, as a matter of fact. And Chris, it's great to see you here. It's great to have everyone here. Mike, I'm glad to see you, and I'm glad to see our friends from the legislature here. It's remarkable that anyone would think about not voting for this. I really have to sort of think about that for a second. I'll tell a quick story. So I was president of this university from 1980 to 85. I live over here on the campus and University Avenue. Sunnyside has changed, as we all know, but the roads are the same. In fact, the same damn pothole was there when I came back. And so if you just think about it from the university's point of view, just this small slice. This is the university now is the largest employer in the state. We create more jobs and we have tremendous economic opportunity. But yet we're limited in terms of our growth because of our infrastructure. Now, Barbara and others are here and they say, well, you can't grow this place. Well, we've grown to our limit. We have, because the fact that we no longer have the ability to be able to move beyond our infrastructure. So when you say country roads bring me home, it's a great thought. It's a great song. But if country roads have potholes and they don't meet our expectations, and people can't come and relocate in this state and stay in this state, then we have lost our ability to be able to be competitive. It's that simple. This is one of those kind of opportunities that will come rarely. Our governor is a visionary, as we all know. The secretary's done a great job. When you get everyone on the same page, which is a rarity in any political climate, and when we have that, when we have absolute agreement that this is the best thing for West Virginia at this point, then what more can we say? So it's my honor. It's my honor, and he's going to run the 10-yard dash in here. It's my honor to introduce our governor and to tell him that we're proud to be here with him. Everyone, welcome our governor, would you please?
Right here and just talk with you, okay? Okay, first of all, I want to know how many people that are here have voted. That's pretty good. How many here have not voted? Let's do that. And that would include me too. And I'm going to try to vote tomorrow morning. How many here are not going to vote? That's real good. The bottom line of this whole thing is just this. We know there's going to be a fairly low turnout. Now, you've heard a bunch of people speak, these kind people that, oh, there's Coach. I didn't see you, Coach. How you doing? That unusual looking shirt you got on. I thought you turned into a Clemson fan there for a minute. But nevertheless, you heard great speakers. You know, there's no question you heard the greatest speaker in Gordon Gee. And now I'm going to just try to just tell you a few things, then let you ask anything you want to ask of me. The bottom line to this whole thing is there's going to be probably a relatively low turnout on the vote. We had to pick a date, and you probably had to pick a date on Saturday due to the fact that the polling places, school's in now. So the Saturday date we picked an away game, away WVU game, and of all things now, TCU's ranked like really coming up in the rankings, and so we'll have a little bit of a conflict there unless they could schedule the game at night, which we're trying to get Gordon Gee to get him to do. No, I've not mentioned that to him really, but that would be good. Now, the other flip side of it is just this. You know, there are people out there in the wilderness. Now think about this. The Senate voted 34-0 in favor of this. The House voted 90-8 and 2 absent in favor of this. Now, you've got just a small group of people that are out there in the wilderness that are spewing out venom. And the big $64 question is why? You know, because I can't figure out where there is a downside to a yes vote at all. But the why is this. I mean, people love to be in the news. People love to get their name in the paper. People love for the news media to interview them. You know, that's not me, but they love it. And so you've got some people out there, a very, very, very vocal minority, that are saying things that, for the most part, are false. Now, the first thing they say is this is going to raise your taxes, and that's just as absolutely preposterous as you could possibly be. And I'll tell you why. Because we got to sell the bonds. And if I called up Gordon Gee on the phone and I said, Gordon, I want you to buy these bonds, or I want you to buy a chunk of these bonds, the first thing he's going to say was, how are they funded? Where's the funding? And if I said, well, Gordon, we may raise taxes, he's going to say, you're crazy. I'm not going to buy that bond. Nobody would buy the bond. The bonds have to be funded. There has to be a funding vehicle in place, and right there it is. And that's how it's funded. It's funded through DMV fees, it's funded through a gas tax, it's funded through a privilege tax, and it's funded through a turnpike tolls. Now, that is in place now. There is no reason whatsoever to raise your taxes. Now, the second thing people ask is, are all the jobs going to go to West Virginians? And the answer to that is this. We would all love for every job to go to a West Virginian. We need to prop up our tech schools and our community colleges and our universities or whatever like that to put out more qualified people. But you know what the sleeping giant and all that is? And I just came up with this the other day, and I never heard it before. I truly believe all the good ideas in my world come from the good Lord, and this just came out of nowhere. But the bottom line is just this. Think of the number of people. There's not a person here that doesn't know somebody that had to leave West Virginia to go get a job. That's all there is to it. Our families are fragmented all to pieces. I've said it over and over. Aunt Edith wants to have a picnic this coming Sunday, and she can't do it because she wants her grandkids to be there. And her kids are in Atlanta and Charlotte and Denver and all over God's green acres and everything because they had to go to get a job. Well, they're good people. They're qualified people. They're people that can pass a drug test. They're people that want to come back home. Wouldn't it be nice if we could reunite families and bring them back home? That'd be really good stuff to me. So there's a lot of different ways that we can pull West Virginians into these jobs. Now, the other flip side of it is just this. Will there be some of these jobs that will be filled by out-of-state workers? Well, sure there will be. But we gain from that too. You know, if we properly regulate and collect the taxes from payroll taxes or when they go buy big gulps or whatever it may be, you know, we collect taxes from those people too. And not only that, we get our roads fixed and we get our roads built. So, at the end of the day, I've tried to expose to you some of the things that are being spewed out there that are saying the bad things. I cannot, and I would challenge you till the cows come home to tell me a downside of a yes vote. Now, I can tell you tons of downsides of a no vote. Just think about it for just 1 second. We went through a session and we argued back and forth and all that kind of bit and all that. Well, no, wait a minute. Let me tell you one other thing that's out there. We don't like it that Jim Justice changed parties. So, I think how silly this may be. So my road, now I'm being them, my road is tore all to pieces and I can't make it to the convenience store without tearing my car up, but I don't like it that Jim Justice changed parties, so therefore I'm going to vote against it. In other words, and I've said this a bunch of times, this is like Jeffro Bodine standing beside the cement pond with an anvil in his arms and a chain tied to his leg. And Jed walking up and saying, Jeffro, what are you doing? And he said, my girl done dumped me, and I'm going to throw this anvil in the cement pond and drown myself, Uncle Jed. And Jed said, well, Jeffro, what good would that do you? And he said, or I made a mistake, didn't Uncle Jed? Well, you know, that's just it. I mean, you know, that's how silly that would be. And the other thing is, it doesn't matter to me whether you like me or don't like me, and at the end of the day, you know, I'm trying to do the right thing for West Virginia. I went through the whole session, I gave it everything I had, and I gave it everything I had plowing in one direction, and it didn't work. And so I don't really believe in just doing it over and over and over and really not feeling good about it not working. And so the bottom line, I'm not going to beat up on the Democrats. I love them just as much as I love the Republicans, and I would challenge you in every way just this. It's high time in this state that we really don't need to be occupied with whether you're a Democrat or a Republican. We need to be occupied with you being a West Virginian. And that's just all there is to it. Because at the end of the day, whether you like me or you don't like me, I ran for office to get something done. I didn't run for office to get in a parade and ride around and have people pat me on the back and say, you're the governor, yay, yay, yay. I got enough to do that I don't need to do that. Believe me be. So, now, let's go back to the vote. You know, if you vote yes, I can't see any downside at all. If you vote no, pray tell me, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? We had a $500 million hole in the bucket. The only revenue that was put into the budget, the only revenue that was put into the budget was my forecast. It's not real money. It's a forecast of what I thought the economic benefit of the roads would be. That's it. That's the only money we put in the budget. Now, Gordon and a lot of people, whether it be Dr. Gilbert or a lot of people at the other schools and on and on and on, everybody was screaming bloody murder. They can't stand these cuts. They can't stand these cuts. What are we going to do? Where's the revenue going to come from? If you vote no on this, I would challenge you. I mean, we'll survive. We may become a state park, but we'll survive. You know, some of us, a whole bunch of you will leave. A whole bunch of our schools will close. A whole bunch of your local schools will close. You'll never get the benefits, you know, from the standpoint of exempting the benefits on retirements on our veterans. We'll have an invasion on Medicaid. It'll be even worse than you can possibly imagine. Where's the money going to come from? I mean, I'm like that lady on the Wendy's commercial. Where's the beef? You know, for real, where's the money? Now, you're standing there looking at a no vote, and here's what you're going to get with that no vote. You're going to get a catastrophe as far as cuts to our state. That's what you're going to get. The next thing you're going to get when you open the door of your car and you look out on the road, you might as well look at it and take a snapshot, because not only is it not going to get better, it's going to get worse. Guarantee it. And all the jobs, all the tens of thousands of jobs that could have been created, you just threw them in a trash can. And all the revenue from all those jobs, threw them in the trash can. Now, that's what a no vote's going to get you. Now, here's the thing. I really believe probably you wouldn't have come here today as a majority if you were going to vote no. Now, there may be a few of you here, but I really know that you, as the majority, overwhelming majority of these people that are here as advocates of this. The problem with you being an advocate is, are you really, truly going to get out and do the work to get the vote out? That's the $64 question. Without any question whatsoever, you will never, ever convince me. Never. Never will you convince me that this is not the biggest and the most important vote in the history of this state forever. Forever. The biggest vote of all time. And you know what? Probably we'll be lucky if we get 15% of the people to vote. The biggest vote of all time. I guarantee you that catastrophe will happen if we vote no. And absolutely, this will be the launching pad to everything we want to have happen within our state if we vote yes. Now, there's a lot of good things going on in West Virginia today. In all honesty, what you're doing up here with the university and everything that's going on at WVU in this area with natural gas and on and on and on is great stuff. We've got a little bit of a rebound going on in the coal business and the coal side, and that's great stuff. We've absolutely got an administration, like it or not like it. If you like Donald Trump, great. And if you don't, that's okay too. You know, but the real net of the whole thing is that man and I are close friends, and I mean close friends. And I talk to him all the blooming time. You know, in fact, the other day, and I've got to tell you this because I think it's really funny. I don't tell you this in any braggadocious way, but I just tell you this because it's funny, is, you know, he usually calls my cell phone, or sometimes, you know, they'll call the office and say the president wants you to call, blah, 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 blah. And so I call, you know, from the Capitol I call and all that kind of stuff. Well, he's never called my house. Now, he's called my cell phone while I've been at basketball practice, but he's never called my house. So all of a sudden, you know, the other day at 5:30 in the morning, Rick Perry calls, and he's working on, and Rick Perry, the Secretary of Energy, is so dialed into this manufacturing natural gas hub in your neck of the woods right here that would, gosh, it would explode jobs. It would be unbelievable what could happen there. And Rick Perry's on that like stink on you know what. He really is. Now, and there's other things going on. You know, I've given them a real live idea on coal, a way to help Northern App and Central App coal, and a real live idea on timber and furniture manufacturing and things like that, and they're all over that too. But the bottom line, I don't know what they will do, but here's the bottom line. They will help West Virginia. They really are committed to help West Virginia in lots of ways because, you know, Donald and I are great friends, and he's going to do it. That's all there is to it. Now, I don't know what combination of what he'll do, but he's going to help West Virginia as long as we keep moving forward in the way we're doing. Now, the one thing that would embarrass us teetotally to death, a no vote would make us look like a bunch of dumb bunnies. That's all there is to it. And it's apt to say to the federal administration and everything, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? I mean, if those people can't help themselves, why do we spend time trying to help them? You know, now, but going back to the funny thing. The other day, 5:30 in the morning, Rick Perry calls, we talk and everything, and then about 8 o'clock, I don't know where I was going, but I'm still mingling around the house, and I'm in the bathroom messing around. I don't know what I'm doing and everything, but all of a sudden I hear my house phone ring. And when it rings, then the next thing, Kathy, my wife, she's the sweetest, most beautiful person on the planet and everything, and she answers the phone and she talks this way, and I hear her yell, "Jam, Donald Trump's on the phone." And so I'm thinking, gee, are you kidding me? You know, and so I pick up the phone and it's the Donald, and we talk for about 30 minutes, but it's really bizarre. But nevertheless, we got to pass this. And if we don't, and it's you know, I'm here, and I'm telling you, you've got to get in touch with your in-laws and outlaws and your cousins and Crazy Harry and everything else, and you've got to some way get them to the poll. Now, nobody's probably going to want to come out and vote on Saturday, October the 7th. Get them to the poll. You got to get them to the poll. If we get them to the poll, we win. If we don't get them to the poll and the numbers go smaller and smaller and smaller, then that vile group that will vote for sure becomes significant. Now, I'm done. Ask me any question you choose to ask. I'll answer them the best I can. Somebody ask something now. Yes, ma'am.
Governor, how can we help besides calling our friends? Is there any other persuasive materials we can use to advocate for this, to help persuade?
Well, these guys, you know, have an independent expenditure, and they have materials and so on like that I'm sure that they can get you and whatever like that. I would just go over, if anyone, anyone has a pushback, first of all, you know about the taxes, you know about the West Virginians and the jobs and everything, and you know the scenario about how do you sell a bond, and you've got to have guaranteed funding in place, or you don't sell the bonds, or the bonds get so derated and everything, you can't sell them. And it's such an incredible time to sell the bonds because we can get an interest rate of probably 3.5%, and then we can get a bigger amount of money. That's all there is to it. So, and if people say, well, how much of this money is going to go toward my local roads? Well, the sooner we can do it, there's an enormous amount of money that's going toward the local roads as it is. But the sooner you do it, the more enormous it gets. Because every day that goes by, interest rates can't get any lower than where they are now. As time goes on, to just tell it like it is, when things get better, and they're going to get better, interest rates are going to move up some. Somebody was going to ask something right there, sir.
I'm Dan Flesher. Hold this out a little ways. Past president of the Contractors Association.
Yes, sir.
Just in full disclosure. But I have three little stories to tell that tie into what you just said. First of all, I have three kids. One lives in San Francisco, one lives in Oregon, one lives here because of jobs. I've had a construction company here since 1982, and 90% of my people are rebuilding a coal plant in Colorado right now.
Right.
But to tie into your Roads to Prosperity thing, I was privileged to graduate from high school in 1969 when the interstate program was going wide open. I went to work on prevailing wage jobs, came to university before Gordon Gee did, and worked every summer on a highway job, paid my own way through college, and I think that's what the possibility is here for I mean, there's a whole lot of jobs for my guys to come back, the heavy equipment operators to come back, and the kids out of high school to get a laborer's job on a road job.
He's right. He's right about everything. Just hold it 1 second, sir. You know, but he mentioned two other things that I want to mention real quickly. Do you really believe our roads are safe? I mean, are they safe? Of course they're not. There's all kinds of places that we can identify where they're unsafe. Well, you got school buses running on those places too. Well, when's the next tragedy that we're going to awaken to? That's no fun. That's no fun at all. He mentioned one other thing, and that is this. He said, we mentioned two other things. You know, one thing was that getting a job as a laborer on these jobs, we're bidding these jobs as labor intensive. And so basically we're bidding the jobs that way so that we can put additional labor out there and they can learn how to do something, you know, which is really good stuff. Now the other thing, Gordon, he said that he came here before you came here. So that would put him at 865 years old. Yes, sir.
Then I might be 890 years old.
Okay.
I'm older.
891.
I'm Bill Rice. I live up on Baker's Ridge. I'm originally from Western New York, snow country up there. My brother still lives there. My sister-in-law is a teacher. They miss less school days in Western New York than about any county in this state does. My daughter lives in Pittsburgh, Moon Township, same thing. They miss less school days there than we do in this, this state, if you will. Social media, it's out there everywhere. I don't know how you, I would say, combat whatever is the negative or the positive or the misinformation or anything else that's out there about what you should or shouldn't do. I'm recognized as being on the radio often enough, but the social media size of whatever they say, good, bad, or indifferent, how do we present whatever our best case is? I'm 100% in of the bond issue. How do we get the social media to do the best thing to get it pushed through the system in the way we want it to go?
Well, that's a really tough one for me because I don't have my phone, but I got a flip phone. And I don't get on Facebook. And I'm not on social media. But the bottom line, as I understand, is, again, the outspoken, you know, way outspoken, super minority, they're there all the time. Again, you can't let them win. You just can't let them win. And even though it may take a few minutes of your time, you know, to get on social media yourself or get your friends and whatever, you can't let these people win. You just can't. It's just too important. That's all there is to it. Now listen to me. Listen. For real. Is there anybody in this room who really thinks I need to be the governor of this state for me? I mean, are you kidding yourself? Don't you think I got enough to do? You know, and I surely don't need the money. I don't need any perk. I don't need any ego, the status. I don't need a thing in the world. This, in a lot of ways, is a pain in the butt. But the reason I'm here is for one thing, and that is I want goodness for West Virginia. It takes a lot of time, and it takes an effort like nobody's business, but none of us are going to live forever. And there's a point in time when you got to make a decision. Is that 3 minutes on social media worth dispelling these nuts? Or is it something you just don't want to get to today? You know, you came here. I know you've got all kinds of things you want to do. Sure to goodness you don't want to sit here and listen to me. But really and truly, at the end of the day, you care. At the end of the day, I care. At the end of the day, all these great people right here and you care. We got to do something. We can't miss here. Yes, sir.
I could just add something to what you said about social media. We have a coalition that's in place with prominent business groups, organized labor, and the teachers. And we have a real strong social media component. I know enough about it to be dangerous. I started tweeting myself here about a month ago. My family and friends came to my rescue, told me to cut that out immediately. But we have a group that really knows what they're doing. They are capturing every tweet or whatever else that's on Facebook, and they're sending positive, the talking points, positive messaging to that whole audience that received the same negative tweet. They're also out there in a proactive way all over the state and every region, disseminating the materials that the governor and his staff have put together on what's in it for me. You know, what are the specific projects? What's the amount of money that's going to be spent in McDowell County, Wayne County, Montague County? You ask what else can we do other than spread the word and get everybody else to vote. Please go to the home page or hashtag vote for Roadstoprosperity. It's a Facebook page. It's also a Twitter account. Go on there.
Vote for Roads.
WV.
WV.
4 is the letter for.
Vote for Roads. WV.
WV. And please circulate that. Like it and pass along that page. Help ramp up the numbers and just get a stronger circulation going. We'd appreciate that. Please go on there. Yeah, you have to mention early voting. You know, October 7th is the vote date. People are voting today, so be sure to get out with that.
Like I said, we don't want to run this right up against the deadline and then a lot of people come up with all kinds of reasons not to come out on October the 7th. Get people to come out and vote. And I want to say, I mean, I'll continue to answer your questions if anybody else has got another question. Yes, sir.
What about the federal, if they do have an infrastructure plan, this tie into that to leverage?
It could really tie into it really nicely, and it could dovetail right into it in a great way. And I know Tom is just itching to say something about this, but I'm going to cut him off just to keep on moving here. But think about this just for a second. Here's exactly what's going to happen with President Trump. I mean, this health care issue just jumped back up on the table, and they made a big run at it, and they're trying like crazy and everything, but that doesn't look real good right now. The next thing that's going to happen is this tax reform thing, and he's all over that, and he's trying like crazy to get that through and everything, and I think he'll get that through. Now, then at that point in time, and to get it through between now and the end of the year is tough stuff, but he may be able to pull that off. The infrastructure thing is next probably in line, or maybe they'll be to it. Well, I mean, for crying out loud, you don't know that this afternoon North Korea is not going to launch another missile or something. You don't know what's going to happen in this world. But I believe the infrastructure thing is probably 2 to 3 years down the road. And at that point in time, I really believe wholeheartedly that West Virginia is going to get a nice bite out of the apple. Okay? Now, we're going to have additional bonding capacities and everything to match dollars, but irregardless if you had that or didn't have that, there will be manna fall from the sky on West Virginia on infrastructure from the federal government. Guarantee it. Guarantee it. Positively guarantee it. Because Donald Trump wants to help West Virginia. And as these two things dovetail together, they'll just keep on going. You know, where we've got 600 projects here, we'll have 600 projects pretty much done, and then we'll have a significant amount more money, and we'll have some matching money on top of all that, and we'll just keep on going.
Pass the local deal originated here in Morgantown, where counties, municipalities can pass local tax on their own to be used and work with the highway department. Could that be added to this
very short answer, sure, that would help out, and the Highway Department has had a history, and I know under Governor Justice it'll be the same way, that if folks show up with resources to help supplement the pot, then we will do everything we can to work with you to make that go further.
Yes, ma'am.
On this subject of federal highway program that we might get from President Trump, if we're having all this construction, the bonds are going to be sold in a time frame of 4 years, so there'll be a lot of construction, and then if there's all this extra federal construction, is it possible that this could drive up the cost of construction with all so much going on at once? Drive up the cost of the project?
Let me give you a non-smart, smart aleck answer. I hope so. Now that may really surprise you. But just think, let me just say why. 6 months ago, Bill Rainey and Chris are sitting here. 6 months ago in the coal business, you could hire a mile-long bunch of very qualified men for $16 an hour. Today, you can't hire anybody for $30 an hour. Well, those people are doing good. Their communities are doing good. Everybody's doing good. Now, at the end of the day, if we have too much construction, in all honesty, our contractors are going to probably bid a little higher. And our contractors are probably going to do a little better. And I say, that's what makes America its absolute greatest. That's what really makes us go. You know, now I don't want, don't get me wrong, the higher they bid, you know, if they bid higher and everything and construction costs go up, the fewer the projects we get done. And and I know that's your point. I know that's exactly your point. Yes, ma'am.
Would that incentivize people to start their own construction companies?
Sure would, or add to the construction company, buy more equipment or whatever. Yes, ma'am.
I was wondering if you could explain the effect of the cost of inflation on construction supplies versus the cost of the interest rates on bonds. Or maybe the Secretary.
You want me to tell you the cost of inflation?
I heard the Secretary explain.
Maybe, Mike, did you do this?
Secretary, Frank Johnson.
Okay, you do this. Okay, because I can't do it.
Yeah, there's, in private industry and the public side, there's always a time for wise investment. Currently, we think we could get bond rates of about 3.5%. If you look at any construction cost index right now, you'll see 4.5%, 5.5%, 6.5%. So what happens, that tells you it's a time for wise investment, that's good debt, you're getting a good rate. If you wait, the cost of inflation will be more, and you'll have additional deterioration. So it's a double whammy. You end up getting hit twice. You get hit because of the additional cost because of inflation, and you get hit with the cost of additional deterioration. You can't do a bridge.
What he means by deterioration is the roads get worse. It costs more to fix them.
Exactly.
About borrowing money, that it's going to be more expensive in the long run. We could be saving by doing it right now.
I think that's exactly the point. This is not unlike a mortgage. You've just gotten a raise at work. That's the fees that were passed in this
It's the
legislation.
bucket.
You've ended up wanting to grow your family. You want to expand and grow your family in a nice new home. That's us wanting to grow our state. All we have to do is go to the bank and get the approval for a very good rate, and then you've got a mortgage that helps you prepare for the future.
Hey, Tom. I think I'm probably saying this too. Simply, this is cheaper to do it now than maybe you go. Simple reason construction costs more.
Exactly. It is cheaper to do it now with wise investment and wise debt than it is to wait because it will cost more later.
And let me touch on that. You know, I was in Logan not very long ago, the road from Logan to Man, everybody was celebrating, yay, 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 yay. 20 years. 20 years. The other thing about it is the Coalfield Expressway down there, they've been in the works now 27 years. You can't get across town here unless you've got a 45-minute time frame that you just want to kill the time on. Yeah, I mean, you're growing, and you ought to have good stuff, better roads. You ought to have everything. The other flip side of it is just this, is if you think you can hold out for 25 years till the road gets built, well, I think most all of us won't probably be here in 25 years. So I just think that that's preposterous. You see, here's the whole idea. And I want you to just stay with me on the idea because, again, and I don't mean to be Reverend Jim in any way, but I give the credit on the good idea because this idea just came from nowhere. So I give the credit above. Now just think about this. You're going to take office and you know you've got a huge deficit. What are you going to do? Severance tax don't look like they're going to move much at all, even though you feel like they're going to get better. What in the world are you going to do? We're way past the time of taking any more money out of rainy day because we have gotten to the point where they're derating our bonds now. What are you going to do? You can't go out here and level off a site and hope that somebody comes and builds a factory because you're past build a field and they'll come. You're past building a better environment for business to come. You're past that. You are shipwrecked. That's all there is to it. And you've got to have immediate jobs. And you've got a drug problem beyond belief because we have no hope. You've got to have immediate jobs. Now here comes the idea. Where can you go? Where can you turn? Well, the idea just falls, and the idea says the only place to go is the roads. If you could find a way to let and bid every road that he has on the books tomorrow, bid them all tomorrow, you could create tens of thousands of instant jobs. Instant jobs. Instant jobs. And not only that, we get our roads done. Now, how do you come up with the money? And that's where I'm good. That's where I'm really good. Because I know how all this financial stuff works, and I know how to put it together in a bond, and I know how to sell it, and I know how to do all that stuff. So all of a sudden, boom, we're off and running. Now that's where it all started. Every bit of it started. There was somebody else that was going to ask something.
One of the biggest concerns is timing is permitting. Obviously, the state can control some aspect of that, but the federal government's process is atrocious in time. And I think Trump has mentioned that he wants to shorten that process. So whatever the suggestion would be, having that correct and not take 5 years to get a permit would be fantastic.
Well, we're working on that every day, and the Trump administration is as well. Now, we don't want to do anything. I mean, let me tell you, there's not enough roads on the planet. There's not enough coal on the planet. There's not enough anything on the planet to endanger a life. And there's absolutely, we don't want to endanger our water or our environment, nothing. We don't want to do all that. But there's so many things there that are completely crazy that we don't need to be there and are not helping anybody. And so we can expedite that. We need to. Let me just say the last thing, and that is just this. The pay-as-you-go philosophy will just do this. We've proven how to be dead last. We've got that down pat. Now, we've paid as we go forever, but the bottom line of it is this. If we had $100 million and we wanted to put it into highways and we get over in a crack, we're going to pull some of that $100 million back out and we're going to give Tom a Band-Aid and aspirin and say, go fix the roads. That's what we do. You know, listen, this pay-as-you-go idea, economically it doesn't work. He told you how that doesn't work. But the pay-as-you-go idea is disastrous. Yes, sir.
I will say that as a 21-year-old who wants to be here in 25 years, said when I come back to university, I don't want to see it just being 705, 68, 79. This is, like you said, it's a long-term comprehensive fix, not just fixing it as we go. I think it's very important that this will work too.
Well, thank you for being thank you for being a 21-year-old that is an impressive young man. Thank you, sir. Yes, sir.
I'm sure I can speak for all three county commissioners. We're thrilled that you're up here. As you know, we are actively supporting it, and I like the words you said, actively supporting it. And it's very simple. This is a no-brainer for Montgomery County. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Let me tell you one thing that I caution you about no-brainer. That sounds like something that I would say, and then everybody's going to get on you about that. And the other thing is, you know, there are people that really do believe that this is going to raise their taxes. And when you say that it's a no-brainer, they don't get it. They just shut down on you. So be careful. Be careful. Or you'll turn into me, and that'd be really bad. Wait just one second, Coach. You know, there's an old saying, you know, first you believe in Santa, then you don't. Before you know it, you are Santa. So think about that. Yes, sir, Coach.
Governor, I think if we could just have your speech on social media, we'd be home free. You did a great job. Everyone that hears it would vote yes. Let's get it on social media. What are those guys doing back here?
Well, I tell you, my people won't do anything right. I'm teasing. I don't know what y'all are doing back there.
A motivating thing. If the people of this state will vote for this road bond, I'll guarantee it win against TC.
There you go. Okay. Now that needs to go on social media. Y'all need to tweet that out, and that needs to go everywhere. Yes.
It's important, I believe, that the Democratic parties and legislators that are for the road bond email people regarding their support of this bond. And some of that has not been done. And I think that some people have, and, you know, that, I think that would be very good.
Well, listen, from the Democratic Party standpoint, you know, when I switched parties, and I don't harbor any ill feelings, and I wish they didn't, but you know, there's a lot of people who got bruised up bad there, and they didn't like it, and I can understand, I completely understand that. But at the end of the day, this is all about one thing, and that is just your roads, your people, you know, our West Virginia. And so, and you know, the amazing thing is my interaction with the Democrats that I've talked to has been great. It's been really good. But I know there's got to be an undercurrent out there and people that were not happy with me, and I understand. Okay. Yes, sir.
All of the governor's town hall appearances are posted on his Facebook page, and they are you can stream them from the Facebook page. They're all there, every single one of them. So I would encourage you to go there, and you can share those to get that information out.
Yeah, wait a minute, because now I'm super ignorant on this. But if they're on my Facebook page, how does that do anything for us? I mean, because people aren't going to come to my Facebook page. We need to get it out to everybody's Facebook page.
It is being shared. There's thousands of shares that are out there, but I would encourage you all to go on and share it, because that's the way Facebook works. As you go in and share it, more and more people have access to it. So.
Yeah, and we have a little thing that's tied into that. Every time you share, I get $1.
That's not true.
I didn't say that. Take that back.
I'll take care of that. You can also go to the governor's website at www.governor.wv.gov. It's there.
Let me end by saying this. You know, the good Lord gave you the ability to smile and to laugh. And this is a tough, tough, tough journey. So do that a lot. Do that a lot. That's good stuff. God bless you. Thank you for having me.